Alison.
And I'm Bryce, and we're Better Half Reviews.
And today we are looking at Forbidden Desert. It's designed by Matt Leacock, the art is by C.B. Conga and Tyler Edlin, and it's published by Game Right Games.
In Forbidden Desert, you've crash-landed into a desert, and you're looking for another way out. So you're trying to uncover this ancient ship, find all the parts and pieces, put it together, and get out before you dehydrate.
Alright, let's check it out. Alright, so at the beginning of the game, you're going to take out all of these tiles, shuffle them up, and lay out a 5x5 square with a hole in the middle, and that represents the storm. Everyone needs to pick one of the roles to play. We picked the Explorer and Water Carrier. So your little pawns are going to start at this crash zone, because you've crashed into the desert. And when you're setting up the game, you also start with sand pieces around parts of the board. So your goal of the game is to collect all of these different ship pieces. So this is the golden ship that you've heard about, and it's all broken apart. So you're going to spend the game trying to find all of these pieces. You can put them somewhere around the board.
Your player card is also a player aid. So this tells you how to play the game. So when it's on your turn, you take up to 4 actions, and then you draw storm cards equal to the storm value. The actions you can do on your turn are move, clear sand, excavate, or pick up a part.
So the move action, you can move up, down, left, and right, so orthogonally. So I could go 1, 2, 3, 4 if I wanted to. Another action is the pick up sand. So you can pick up sand on tiles that are next to you or the tile that you are on. So I could do 1, 2, 3, 4. Sometimes the sand is going to pile up, and you'll notice that this is a little bit different than the sand tiles here. If it has a second or even more pieces on top, you flip it over, and it has an X on it because you can't go onto that tile. This tile is now buried. So I would have to clear it first before I can move on to it. I could do 1, 2, and move on to it. Or if I didn't want to clear all the sand, I could clear the buried parts for 1 action, 2, and move on there. If I happen to be on this tile and it got buried, I can't move anywhere else until I unbury myself. Because obviously, you know, if you're stuck in the sand, you can't move. So I would have to move at least one of these, the one that buried me, before I could move.
So I'm starting on this tile. We haven't flipped it over or anything, so I can excavate it, and we flip it over. So here we see a little gear icon. That means I get to draw a gear.
But say I went 1, 2, flip this over for 3. This tile is a little bit different. So you'll notice that it has a piece to the ship, and it has these up and down arrows. This kind of helps us get an idea of where it might be, but we need to find the second yellow tile piece in order to know where the propeller is. So let's say I happen to meander, come over here, remove the sand, and excavate. This is my second yellow piece. So you look at the arrows. This is pointing this way. These arrows are pointing this way. Wherever they intersect is where that piece of the ship is. So finally, the other action that you have available is picking up a part. So I could go 1, 2, 3, and take 1 more action. So once you have found all the pieces and the ship, you are able to fly away and win the game. But this is where the difficulty comes in. So after you take your turn with 4 actions, the storm gets a turn. So depending on the level of difficulty that you choose, you can do novice, normal, elite, and legendary. This little counter goes up throughout the game, and it tells you how many storm cards you're going to be drawing. So we're playing on novice. Right now we would draw 2 cards. So after you take your turn, the storm gets a turn. And you need to make sure to keep all these cards the exact same direction. So you flip it over, and this one says move 1 square to the left. So 1 square from where the storm is to the left. Any tile that moves gets sand on top of it. And we're on novice, so we get to draw 1 more card, flip it over. This says move 1 square up. So this is where the storm is, this is where I can move it. I move it up, and that tile would get some more sand. This is the second sand on top, so you flip it over, and it's now buried. Then it would be the next player's turn. So in this deck, the Storm deck, there are some other cards, like the Sun Beats Down. This card makes your water decrease on your player card, which could potentially end the game. We'll get into that in a second. And some of these other cards will move multiple tiles, 2 tiles, or sometimes even 3 tiles. And then there's also the Storm Picks Up card, which increases the level of difficulty and how many cards you're going to be drawing after each player's turn. If it gets all the way up to the top, you lose the game. If you run out of sand to place during the game, you will also lose. So let's talk about the player cards. So each player starts with a certain amount of water, and that's basically your life points for the game. If the sun beats down on you, you lose water, 1 per card. If you get all the way down to the bottom, you lose, and then everybody loses the game. And each player has a different power that helps them do something unique and potentially help you in the game.
If you're losing too much water and you're worried you might lose the game, there are some ways to gain back some water. One way is the Secret Water Reserve. It'll give all players on your tile 2 extra water. However, the more common way is to flip over these water tiles. When you get to the water tile, you can flip it over, and everybody on that tile will gain 2 water. Once you've excavated the well, that's it. That's the only time you can gather water from it. But you have to be careful with these water tiles because one of them is a mirage.
So some of these different gear cards can help you out. So like there's a solar shield that can protect you from the sun for a little bit. There's a jetpack that can help you fly across the desert. And there's a dune blaster, so if you got a lot of sand building up, you can use this to blast away one whole tile. There's a time throttle, so you can take more actions. And finally, there's a terrascope, and that lets you take a peek at one of the tiles and see what's there. So say I had a dune blaster, and say this is completely out of control, I could play this card, and it would let me take all the sand off of one tile nearby. Something else that happens in this game is when you excavate, you may find a tunnel. So if you find a tunnel, you can move into it, and then you are safe from the sun if you happen to draw a Sun Beats Down card. Another thing with the tunnels is if you flip over another tunnel, you can move quickly to another side of the board. So once you find all the pieces, pick them up, and find the ship, you all need to get back to the ship and fly away. And that way you win the game. But if any of the sand runs out, or if you get all the way up to the top of this storm chart, or if one of you loses all of your water, you lose the game. Alright, so that's how you play the game. Let's talk about how we feel about it. Bryce, what are some of the pros?
So this is a great family weight game. I think it's a step up from Forbidden Island, personally. But it's still easy for everyone to learn, gamers and non-gamers alike.
I definitely agree. It is a step up from Forbidden Island. It's a little bit more complex with how the board is actually moving around and adding like the sand and everything. So I feel like, you know, if you're getting kind of tired of Forbidden Island or it's starting to feel too easy, you should try this one and lose. Just kidding. You don't always lose, but it can happen.
I definitely like how there's the variable starting position on the storm track. So it can make the game really, really hard. And you will lose almost every game, it feels like.
Yes.
Or you can make it really easy and lose only like half the games.
So yeah, with this game, I think it's nice to try to change up the difficulty on it. But it also really just comes down to like how things are shuffled too. Where like, you know, we're gamers and we've played lots of games. And there's sometimes that we have been totally wiped in this game because the cards are just not in our favor and we went for the wrong spots and we just got covered up by too much sand or something or got dehydrated.
Or drew like 3 the Sun Beats Down cards in a row and you're like, really? Like
Sun Beats Down.
So like with Forbidden Island, I do like the pieces and the artwork in this game as well. It's just awesome to find that ship in the sand and then put it down and you're just like, oh, that looks so good on the board. And then, you know, have that little metal engine thing and I don't know. They're just all like really great pieces.
Yeah, I totally nerded out when we opened up this box long ago and I saw that the ship, like, you could put it together and then, you know, when you're going to play the game, you take it all apart and yeah, it's just really cool. And it's also fun because when you find the ship in the game, like, you put it on the board, like you said, and you're like, sweet, we have the ship, we know where to go, but then the board moves around, and then you're like, no, the ship moved away.
It got buried under sand, and you're like, oh, and now we have to dig that thing out before we can leave. It just, it's heartbreaking sometimes.
But I like that in this game, they add, since the board is a little bit like bigger feeling, they add the tunnels, so, you know, you can hide from the sun or travel quickly. I liked that concept for this one.
I did too. It's heartbreaking when you open all 3 tunnels and they're like right next to each other.
Yes.
And you're like, how am I going to get across the board now?
That's when you're like, okay, mulligan.
But you just play it out and see if you can still win.
That's true. And then again, just like the Forbidden Island game, they have different player powers, so it's really interesting to try like different strategies and, you know, work together and try to figure out, okay, what's the best way to do this and who should go where.
So this is at the point in the video for Forbidden Island where I brought up as a con, it's not that replayable. It feels very much the same once you played the game a bunch of times.
Spoiler alert.
But here, I think this game has a lot more replayability than Forbidden Island. I honestly don't think I've ever gotten tired of playing this game like I have with Forbidden Island.
Yeah, I feel like it just, with the complexity level and just more added to it, the game is more interesting for a lot longer.
So what are some cons?
Well, I'm going to say the tins. It comes in a tin box. I know it's not a huge thing, but like I would prefer that if it were in a regular box. Because if the box gets spent, it's hard to put it back together and keep things in there. But whatever, that's subjective. It could get kind of fiddly with all the sand pieces that you're trying to like stack up. And you have to make sure to remember, okay, the first sand you put this way, but when it's any more after that, you need to flip it over because it's buried. And then with moving the tile pieces around, you have to make sure to keep the lines decently straight, or else you'll end up moving the wrong tile pieces. But
yeah, I agree with kind of the fiddliness of it. When you get a lot of sand stacked on one spot, and then you have to like move that tile, and the sand's like tipping over, you're like, okay, wait, was all this sand on this one, or was some of it on that one?
So Forbidden Island is secretly a dexterity game. Don't knock the sand. Just kidding. I honestly haven't.
She meant Forbidden Desert, but
dang it. Whatever, you know what I meant. But I haven't had too much of an issue with things like falling over too much, but you know, some people might find it that way.
fat fingers.
I wasn't going to say it, but sure.
And finally, just like Forbidden Island, this is susceptible to alpha gamers coming in and trying to just tell everybody what to do. So that is a consideration, but I think that's a consideration for a lot of co-op games in general.
That's true. But, you know, it's co-op, you can have fun, and hopefully everybody works together. And if you do have that alpha gamer, you can just do the opposite of what they say and hope that it works out for the best, because if it doesn't, they will never let it go. What?
I feel like you had some like pent-up issues there.
Possibly. Nah, we're good. Maybe. But anyway, so that is Forbidden Desert. I think it's a really great game, especially for those who are trying to like step a little bit more into the hobby and you still want to like, you know, play a game where you can like work together. This is a good one to have, and it's more interesting than Forbidden Island.
I agree. I would recommend Forbidden Desert over Forbidden Island most of the time. There's some minor situations where if you're playing with younger kids or you're playing with people that really, really aren't into gaming at all, possibly Forbidden Island at that point. But I like Forbidden Desert a lot more personally.
Mm-hmm. So I guess it really comes down to a would you rather question. So would you rather drown in the waters or die of dehydration?
Too much water, too little water. So be sure to comment down below, tell us which game you like better, whether it's Forbidden Island or Forbidden Desert.
Or Forbidden Sky, which we haven't talked about yet.
And be sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. So I'm Bryce.
I'm Allison.
And we're Better Half Reviews.
Happy gaming!
Have fun.
Sun beats down. Water! Water!
Too much water, too little water.